Hi and welcome back. In the previous screencast I was introducing components and showing how to use them. This time I will show how to create your own components and then share them. Now this is what it looked like when we left off earlier. First I would like to start with a new model. So we open a new model like this. Do I want to save? No. This is not necessary for creating components, but it's cleaner this way. Suppose that I want to model a system in my environment that consists of a web service running on Linux, and it has also got a database service running as well. So I check the components collection and I see that there is no such host component predefined, so I see no Linux web server with database included off the shelf. But I have the Linux web server we saw earlier, so that's a starting point. So we add that to our temporary model here. And if I hover over it, I see that we have Apache web service and SSHD and a couple of other objects as well. Then I collapse the hosts category and I open the services category, and here I happen to find this Oracle database service component. So I drop that one also onto this canvas. Out of plain curiosity I could right click on this one, show all connected objects, and I see that there's a data store here representing database content. There's an access control representing the access control to the database, and it is based on the Oracle database type of software. And then I can select all of these and I drop them in here just to hide them. They're still in there. Next step is to add this Oracle database service to the web server host. So I hold my shift key and I click here to make a connection and I drop it onto the host object here. This will present me with the association type question, and I select non-root application execution like that. Those options are, by the way, described in the community portal. Then I can take this service here and I can drop it onto the host to hide it. And we see that apart from the previous objects, we also have the Oracle database service object in there. And I also changed the name here to not Linux web server, but Linux web plus DB server. Now I shall create a component out of this. So I select this one and I go for File and Export and the sub-item Export Component. In this dialog you don't have to do anything, but you could check what this host object is actually containing if you like. But we select this host at the top and then we click OK. Then securiCAD will prompt me with a File Explorer window where I should put a name to my component, and I call it Linux Web and DB, like that. When I save this file, I put it in a separate directory on my computer, which is going to be my collection of components directory. Then, if I haven't done it previously, I should go to Configuration, Objects, and this is where I can point out the path to the components directory. So I have that in here and I click Save. Then in the components area here we have a couple of categories, and one category hasn't got this foreseeti logo on it, which is our local components. And now we see that we have a new item here called Linux Web and DB. So we have added one more instance of this. So now we have 2 hosts in our model with the same configuration. So if I am working on the high level model, like open the example model here, I could say that I can pick this Linux Web and DB here, and I can connect it to the staging infra, and now we see that there are 3 hosts in this network zone instead of 2. And of course you can zip and share this components directory between different securiCAD users. In this example, I was using a host object to create my component. But as you might have noticed, in this directory here I have subdirectories as well. So under community components I have something called SCADA. And by the way, SCADA systems are mainly related to process control, like for instance critical infrastructure, power distribution and so on. Anyway, what I want to show here is that we have a component called substation bay network, and we can add that to our example model here, and we see that it's a network object. And the icon in the corner here indicates that this network object has got a host in it as well. Then we can go ahead and add a connection between this network here and the router we have. Selecting connection, and that means that we have added a network zone to our router. We also see that we have a component called local office, and this one is a little bit different. We add this one, and we see that we get 3 objects at the same time. These objects are representing hosts that are expected to be found in a regular network zone. And if we select them and we drop them onto the office zone here, we see that it says 4. And if we hover over it, we see that we have 3 more objects connected in that zone. So what we have seen now is that we can create components and we can reuse them in our models, but we can also let other people create components for us so that they can deliver components that we can put into a larger model, and also that components can represent or contain single system definitions or big chunks of hosts. And that's about it for now. Thank you for listening.